My name is Mr. Felix Wilkins. I'm 71 years old. I am not better than Mozart, but Mozart likes me. I give a thing that Mozart taught me. And Beethoven loved me too. I give something from Beethoven. And John Sebastian likes me too. I give something from Bach too.
It ought to be a crime for some people, me for instance, to sing. But Anthony Riley, who has a really nice voice, really has been criminally charged for singing after he belted out a number in Philadelphia's Rittenhouse Square. Mr. Riley was singing at 9 o'clock at night. Some of the residents of the square complained. Joining us now from Rittenhouse Square is Anthony Riley. Mr. Riley.
You know, they say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I think if you can make it in Philadelphia, you literally can make it anywhere.
Such a small town girl, living in a lonely world. You see, she took the midnight train going anywhere. Such a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. You see, he took the midnight train going
I think that the one thing that I've heard consistently over the years is, you know, that I'm really talented, and they just want to see me go further, you know, with my career. You know, if you think about Center City, you think about Market Street. That's where the convention center is. A couple blocks over is the Reading Terminal Market. So I try to focus on Market Street because that's where the most tourists are, basically. Like, I always knew that I was a singer. I started singing in church, like 6 years old. You know, I just never was like something I wanted to pursue particularly until I got older. My mother passed away, and my father at the time was working for SEPTA, our transportation system. And he was like, I see these guys in the train station, they're like performing and singing and making money. You should go down there and give it a try. You know, it might be cathartic for you. And I went down there and I started performing and never looked back.
I'm working hard to get my fill, yeah, you see. Everybody wants a thrill there. They're paying.
It was really a great way for me to develop my talent as an entertainer. They say that it takes an artist, you know, 10,000 hours, you know, to kind of perfect their craft and figure out exactly what direction they want to go in. And I really feel like over the years I had that time to be able to go out every single day and perform on the street and try to make sure that this is something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. You know, it helped my work ethic, it helped my drive, and most importantly, it kept me grounded in the sense that I was able to focus on my craft.
Even just to find emotion there, hiding somewhere in the night. So don't ever stop, no, and don't stop.
The biggest thing that I could really take away from what street performing is that it's an opportunity to kind of bring joy to people.
Fight back. Don't be afraid, don't run away. It's okay, 'cause you've got the world on a string that you're strung. When you sing about love. So sing loud to the clouds. Right there you'll see the world, what needs to be done. You don't wanna die, nothing on your mind, the whole world's outside. You don't wanna leave unless you are free, then you'll be alright. So set yourself free, fill up your mind with who you wanna be. So who do you wanna be? Set yourself free, set yourself free. And oh.
I always do street performances. I find that it's always a good way to reach out to people who like wouldn't hear your music regularly in, say, a venue because of age restrictions or just because of like location restrictions. First Friday, there's a lot of foot traffic. That's why I'm always out here, and just like a lot of good feedback. Crowd reaction fluctuates throughout the night. Definitely towards the end when people have a little more alcohol in them, they're sticking around more and having a little more fun. It's low pressure, and it's not my usual gig. It's not me being hired as a vendor or like for my job as a musician. It's me being able to play a brand new tune and have no fear, no shame. No one will know. I mean, whether it's dance, music, obscure things like swallowing swords, I think it's all important. People need to see live art. There's always finished products, but something live is special, especially on the street.
That's a brand new tune of mine. Finished that last week. Very exciting. Thank you.
I started going to Rittenhouse Square and hanging out there because it's a very large park where musicians from all around the city, they come. You know, it's just a place where musicians hang out.
Lindy and Blues is a Lindy Hop and Blues dancing organization. We organize 4 weekly dances all throughout the city of Philadelphia. When we dance in Rittenhouse, it actually feels a little bit like we're being photographed by the paparazzi. People stop as they're walking past. We kind of coerce small children to come dance with us. People bring their dogs, ask us to hold their dogs while they dance. It's a pretty neat experience. When I stumbled across Rittenhouse over, oh my gosh, almost 3 years ago, I was like, I want to do that. I want to dance. I want to swing dance. And it's helped me grow immensely as a person, but I also feel like watching people dance is also a lot of fun too. And I feel like that's the response we get from a lot of the people who stop.
Basically, one day after class, it was just one of those days where you just need to relax. Usually you're supposed to go like practice for 5 hours or whatever, but I just didn't feel like it. It was gorgeous out, so I came down here and I just started playing down at the south end of the park, and I got a really good response, and I guess I kind of got addicted to it ever since. I'd say Rittenhouse, that's probably the only place in Philly where you just have this kind of culture of people who will come on a Saturday afternoon and say, oh, I wonder who's playing today. I try to get out every weekend, but I'm not always there on the same day every weekend, and there's also lots of different acts that'll come. So it's just people are very receptive here. Philadelphia, I've lived here all my life, so I don't know any other cities, but I still think it's the greatest city ever, just because like pretty much it seems like the world kind of comes to us.
And it's old black dog when I'm gone, gone, gone. You call me a dog when I'm gone. But when I come round that hill with a $20 bill, it's honey where you been so long.
My mom likes to sing,
and so we used to sing together. I grew up going to church also, so I sang in church choir. And they put me in piano lessons when I was young, which was really, really awesome of them, even though I was not appreciative at the time. So then when I got an accordion in high school, I was able to pick it up, not easily, but okay. Favorite audience? Little kids who dance, probably. And also I just really appreciate when people sit and listen is really kind. It's a lot better than someone just walking by and throwing $1 in or something. So I'd rather have somebody listen for like 15 minutes and not tip me anything than just walk by and throw me $1. Yeah, it's way bigger than any city I've ever spent any significant amount of time in, because I've lived in Minneapolis and I've lived in Montana, and so it's a lot bigger than those places, but it feels really navigable and small. Folks have been really nice for the most part. It's like the most fun and best paying job I've ever had.
I went there with some friends and I was singing and, you know, we're all dancing, having fun. And this police officer came up to me and said, you know, you have to leave the park at 9 o'clock. Now, I knew, you know, I had an understanding of the laws of Philadelphia as far as, you know, performing and busking are concerned. I knew that the curfew, the limit is 10 p.m. And I said this to him. And, you know, looking back in retrospect, you know, all these years later, I'm pretty sure, you know, he was just having a bad day. I was arrested for 18 hours for disorderly conduct and was released the next day. And the very next day, I got out of the roundhouse, and my friends called me on my cell phone. They were like, "Come back to Rittenhouse Square," and I'm like, "You got to be crazy! There's no way I'm coming, coming back." I'm like, "No, just trust me." And came back to the park, and the Daily News was there, and they wanted to do a story on, you know, kind of like, you know, it was tough because at the time we had over 407 murders in the city. We had the highest murder ratio in the country at the time. So the kind of the story was like, you know, why are we focusing precious resources on, you know, locking up kids in parks when we have like, you know, this really big problem? The city, understandably so, they were like, well, we're just going to suspend all performing activities and we're going to, you know, review the law and see exactly what's going on here. And, you know, obviously musicians who performed in the park, who performed around the city, they felt, you know, like they were being violated in some way. Luckily, you know, after we had a couple demonstrations at the park, had a couple rallies, sat down with some of the mayor's representatives and city council, we were able to come to a consensus that in this city, it's tough because it's very residential in Center City. You know, just like you know, any high-rise building. You know, if you have a 12-inch speaker, you know, powered by car batteries like I did, and, you know, you're blasting music, you know, it becomes a quality of life issue.
Park rangers, once in a while, it's usually on their like first day when they'll say, we don't want you to play. Only one person ever said don't play at all. What I worked out with the park ranger this year was it wasn't okay to have my case open, but it was okay to leave a bag out. There does get a point where if you have, there's too many people with their cases out, people feel obligated, and that's never what I wanted to do anyway, and that's not what they want either, but just having like a bag that people who appreciate it can come up and donate, then I think that's the best solution. And the cops, they've all loved it.
The square itself has rules for amplified music, and the one day somebody had lodged a complaint with the police. They're actually really, really cool and very willing to let us, you know, do what we want until there's a complaint lodged. One week we had somebody complain to the police that we were making too much noise, that our amplified music was too loud, so they asked us to turn it off. Luckily, we have a lot of actually musicians that are also in our community. Live music is totally acceptable for Rittenhouse, so we kind of, you know, used Facebook and called our friends and said, come play for us. So it actually ended up working out in our favor.
Somebody in that building over there apparently called the cops and was like, you know, I pay so much to live in this apartment and I can't even open my windows. And it's like, okay, you know, you live by a really busy square in the middle of the city. It's like part of the city.
You just use a smaller levels of amplification. The police are now equipped with decibel meter readers, so they can go up to your speaker and see what the, you know, what the level of your speaker is, and they just kind of base it on if no one calls, there's no problem. I think, you know, my biggest thing is that, you know, in every city where performing is popular, there should just be a consensus between the performers and law enforcement. Because the one thing that, you know, it's tough because when I was younger, I would be like, you know, oh, they're just, you know, the man's just trying to bring us down and like, you know, they don't want us to perform. But I was talking to a cop one day and he was like, you got to look at it like this. He's like, I'm on a beat for 8 hours. You know, I'm walking around, I'm making sure the city's safe, and I get a call. You know, some guy is on a corner with a speaker performing loudly. He's like, I got 2 choices. He's like, I can either ignore the call and get 10 more, you know, in the next hour, or I can come up and try to ask you, you know, to move down the street. I think that that was one thing that really humbled me from the perspective of a performer. He's like, you know, I really don't want to grind your gears. He's like, I don't want to, you know, have to come and tell you to stop. He's like, I love it. You know, it's great. But when it impedes on someone else's comfort and their, like, you know, level of security, that's when it becomes a problem. And I think that that's the reason why every city, you know, they should set up like kind of like safe zones, you know, zones where performers can come and perform and, you know, and not be harassed and not harass anyone. Because I think that that's the thing that a lot of performers say. They're like, I just don't want to be harassed. But you have to realize that, you know, we also have the potential to harass others.
And I know it's endless.
I noticed that, you know, when people are walking down the street and they see a good performer, you know, it could do as much as bring back memories for them, a specific song, you know. I've had people say, you know, hey man, I was having a really bad day, you know, and I stopped and I watched you perform and you made me feel better. It's a two-way street, you know. I could be having a bad day, and going out and performing literally brightens my mood. It sharpens my perspective. It makes me realize that it's not just me in this world, you know, like it's a lot more going on besides just me and my problems. You know, it's 2013 now. I really think that since then, you know, it's become a much more harmonious place to play.
You standing outside the park now, Mr. Riley?
Yes, I am.
We'd love to hear you sing.
Okay.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like a river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know that a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it is. It's been too hard living, and I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the skies. It's been a long time coming, but I know that a change gonna come. Oh, yes it is. It's been a long time coming, but I know that a change is gonna come. Whoa, whoa, yes it is. Mm-hmm.